The question echoes like a warning bell across the global stage. Can Europe survive without America? For nearly 8 decades, the answer seemed obvious because Europe never had to ask. Since the ashes of World War II, the United States stood as the unshakable pillar, the anchor that held Europe steady through storms of ideology, war, and uncertainty. American troops landed on European shores, not once, but twice, to prevent tyranny from taking permanent root. From the Marshall Plan that rebuilt shattered cities to NATO's security umbrella that deterred Soviet aggression, Europe's very rebirth and survival were tied to American power. But what if one day that power were to retreat? What if America decided Europe's fate was no longer its burden to bear? Imagine it. Across the vast Atlantic, the steady hum of American warships pulling back from European waters, US fighter jets no longer circling Baltic skies, and Washington's promises suddenly replaced by silence. Europe, long accustomed to America's presence, would find itself staring at the reality of standing alone. The stakes could not be higher because Europe today is not facing a peaceful horizon. On its eastern flank lies Russia, a nation that has proven time and again its willingness to use brute force to reshape borders. To the south, instability brews in the Middle East and North Africa, spilling waves of refugees and challenges across European shores. And far away in the east, China's growing reach complicates trade, technology, and security, drawing Europe into the great game of global power. Without America, Europe would not only need to confront these forces, it would need to confront itself. But here lies the deeper question. Is Europe truly unprepared, or has it simply forgotten its own strength? When united, Europe is not weak. With over 500 million people, a powerful industrial base, and some of the world's most advanced economies, Europe holds the potential to be a superpower in its own right. Nations like Germany, France, and the United Kingdom already possess advanced military technology, intelligence networks, and nuclear deterrence. And yet, fragmentation has always been Europe's greatest weakness. Where America speaks with one voice, Europe speaks with many. Where America projects power as one, Europe debates, hesitates, and compromises. Survival without America would demand not just resources, but something far harder: unity of purpose. Still, history has shown that Europe can rise when it must. From the rubble of 2 world wars, it created the European Union, a grand experiment in peace and cooperation. From the Cold War's front line, it emerged prosperous and free. These achievements prove one undeniable truth: Europe has the courage to endure. The question is whether that courage can be summoned without America's guiding hand. For Europe, survival without America would not be a sudden collapse, but a test of will. It would require investments in defense, a rethinking of strategy, and above all, the rediscovery of pride in its own destiny. No longer could Europe rely on Washington to guarantee its tomorrow. It would need to craft that tomorrow itself. And perhaps, in that struggle, Europe would rediscover not just survival, but strength. The vision of a Europe standing alone may feel daunting, even dangerous, yet history reminds us that nations and continents often find their truest strength in moments of necessity. If America were to step back, Europe's survival would depend on 3 pillars: courage, innovation, and solidarity. These are not foreign to Europe. They are woven into its history, waiting to be awakened once again. First comes courage. Europe's past is etched with stories of defiance against overwhelming odds. From the resistance fighters in France who stood against Nazi occupation, to the Hungarian revolutionaries who defied Soviet tanks, courage has never been absent from Europe's soil. Today, that same courage would be demanded, not just of soldiers on the front lines, but of leaders in parliaments, citizens in workplaces, and nations at negotiating tables. Survival without America would mean accepting the risks of leadership, shouldering the weight of responsibility, and daring to act even when the path ahead feels uncertain. Second comes innovation. Europe has always been a hub of invention and progress, from the Renaissance to the Industrial Revolution. If America withdrew, Europe would need to ignite that same spirit, channeling its scientific, technological, and industrial power into creating a defense system that could stand on its own. Advanced air defenses, cyber capabilities, artificial intelligence in warfare. These are not dreams of tomorrow, but necessities of today. Europe possesses the minds, the resources, and the industries to make it possible. The only question is whether the will exists to push forward with urgency. Third, and most importantly, comes solidarity. No single European nation, neither Germany nor France, not even the United Kingdom, could stand alone against the combined pressures of Russia, China, and global instability. But together, bound by a commitment to one another, Europe could build a shield stronger than steel. NATO, without America, would still carry the weight of 27 nations. The European Union, if it chose unity over division, could wield economic and political influence unmatched by most of the world. Survival, in this sense, is not about isolation. It is about standing together. Yet even as we weigh the challenges, let us not forget, Europe does not stand alone in spirit. America may one day retreat, but the values that bind the West, freedom, democracy, dignity, are not so easily broken. These ideals are not America's gift to Europe. They are shared treasures, born in Europe itself, carried across centuries, and defended in countless battles. Should America step back, Europe's survival would not only be possible, it would be a matter of honor. To fail would be to deny its own history. So, can Europe survive without America? The answer lies not in Washington, nor in Moscow, nor in Beijing. It lies in the streets of Paris, Berlin, Warsaw, and Rome. It lies in the choices of leaders and the resolve of ordinary citizens. Survival is never granted, it is earned. And for Europe, earning survival without America would mean standing tall, embracing unity, and rediscovering the pride of shaping its own destiny. In the end, perhaps this is the true test of Europe. Not whether America stays or leaves, but whether Europe itself remembers who it is. For if Europe stands together, courage in its heart and unity in its hands, it will not merely survive, it will endure and it will lead.